Let's talk about the layers of the earth. We can actually break it down two ways, based on composition or the way the layers behave. This is very similar to an uncooked egg. If you think about it, you could have two different layers. The shell is hard, and then the inside is kind of liquidy. That'll be based off of behavior. Or you could break it down into three layers. You could break it down based off of composition. The outer shell, which is made of one material, the yolk is another material, and the egg white is another composition. So again, composition or behavior. So let's get started. I'm going to create a little wedge going down to the center of the earth. And it should be noted this is not to scale at all, but it'll get the job done for what we have here. Some layers I'm going to need to make thicker just to be able to label them. So the first way that we're going to break this down is going to be based off of the composition. And so my very top layer here is going to be the crust. So I have crust. Okay, so that's my top layer. And then my next layer down is going to be the mantle. So mantle. And then my center layer is going to be the core, like an apple core, nice and easy right there at the center. And so what we'd see is the composition actually changes as we move down. It goes from very high in silica or silicon and oxygen. So high silica, which is again, silicon and oxygen. And then in the center, we go down to just basically all iron. So really high iron. So high iron. And then it progresses in between. So we start getting more and more iron as we go down, and then we get less and less silica as we go down. And so we group that into high silica, kind of a more medium amounts of iron and silica, and then just kind of all iron down in here. So that's the compositional breakdown. Now where it gets a little more interesting is going to be where we start to talk about the physical behavior. So you would think, oh, the crust, that's just going to be the solid part that we sit on. And that's actually true, but the solid layer extends down even further. So if I were to go take a little pick or something and go down, be solid, 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 and the solid would continue down into the upper mantle. So actually this very top piece here is all solid. So that's our behavioral layer. And again, the composition is going to change, you know, more iron down in here, but really what matters is now we're just thinking about how it behaves. So this solid layer, which is going to be the crust plus the upper mantle, is what we call, we'll do it up here, is called the lithosphere. Okay, so lithosphere, that's the solid crust and upper mantle, regardless of composition. Now, if we keep moving down, what we're going to see is that it's going to get kind of this waxy, plasticky sort of layer. So right down in here is going to be kind of, I'm going to call it waxy, but you can think of kind of like a plasticky, it's going to tend to flow a bit. And this we call the asthenosphere, as the no sphere. It's the way I learned how to spell it long, long ago, as the no sphere. We call it asthenosphere. So nice and waxy. So that's in here. And then we actually hit a layer below here. Use my purple. And this is going to be kind of more solid again, so more rigid. And so this is called the mesosphere. And what we're really going to care about is the fact that this waxy asthenosphere layer in here is going to allow this solid crust and upper mantle of the sphere to kind of move around when we start talking about plate tectonics. All right, now if we continue down, again, we're just talking about behavior. We have our core, which is basically all iron. But what's interesting about it is that the outer core, so I'm going to draw a little line here, this right here is going to actually be a liquid. So liquid, and we call that the outer core. Nice and easy. And then the very, very center is going to be solid. So right down in here, we have a solid again, and that's going to be called our inner core. So that's it. We have our compositional breakdown, which is going to be crust, mantle, core. And then we think about behavior, solid, upper mantle, and crust. This waxy middle mantle, which is going to be asthenosphere, and we have some solid middle mantle, which is going to be mesosphere. And then we've got our two pieces of our core, so the liquid outer core and our solid inner core.